Welcome to the Royal Ramble podcast on this Wednesday evening, January 6th, 2016, here on itsyourradio.com. I'm your host, Brian Sendek. With me, as always, is the co-host, Ryan Martorano. Ryan, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, Brian, I'm doing great today. How about you, man?
I'm doing fantastic right now, and a lot of you wrestling fans know why I'm doing fantastic, why Ryan's doing fantastic right now. If you haven't heard the news, we're going to dive into that. Before we get into the big news that happened this past Monday night, give you guys our Twitter handle. You can follow me, SwaggyB_4895. You can follow Ryan at Ryan underscore Martorano. And you can also follow the show at Royal Ramble IYR. Plus, give us a call, 646-583-1497. Now, we had a show last Friday previewing 2016, what is going to happen this year in wrestling, and we gave our bold predictions. And my bold prediction was at least 5 independent superstars will be signed by WWE by year's end. Well, that number is going to be a little bit higher as WWE made a big splash, or they're in the process of making a big splash as the reports came out this past Monday from Dave Meltzer, who is considered by many to be the best wrestling insider in the world and who really is on point with what he reports online. He said that WWE just signed 4 names, major names, from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, like I said, these are just not 4 regular guys. These are 4 big-time superstars. We'll start it off with Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson. These 2 guys, Gallows was a part of WWE for 3 years. He was first known as Festus and then turned into Luke Gallows. He was a big part of the Straight Edge Society with CM Punk. Then he left, went about his business, went to TNA, was a part of Aces and 8. And then he goes to New Japan Pro Wrestling, forms a great partnership with Karl Anderson. And they were big members of the Bullet Club, which today many people look at as the best faction in wrestling. Karl Anderson, we just mentioned his name, another tremendous in-ring talent, seasoned veteran, the guy, if you watch this guy wrestle, outstanding talent, and people give him the nickname the Machine Gun because he's an absolute bull in the ring. So they get those 2 guys in, and then they signed maybe the biggest name in Japanese wrestling, maybe of all time. I'm not sure all time, but definitely right up there, in Shinsuke Nakamura, a guy that has been drawn to go to WWE for quite some time because he's got a good relationship with Daniel Bryan, and Bryan's been clamoring to Vince McMahon saying, hey, you guys sign Nakamura. He's a very good talent, and reports are that he's going to be on his way to WWE, and that's a huge sign because Nakamura is one of the best in-ring talents in the world. If you haven't watched this guy wrestle, you got to watch him wrestle. And then last but not least, the coup de grace, the cream of the crop, and I cannot believe that I'm going to say this guy's name right now going to the WWE because I never thought I would ever say this guy's name related to WWE, and that is the phenomenal AJ Styles. Yes, people, the phenomenal AJ Styles is going to the WWE. It's unbelievable. When I first saw his name, I thought it was a fake article. I'm like, no, there's no way. There's no way AJ Styles is going to WWE. And then I read more articles, and then WWE posted about it, and now it's true. AJ Styles is on his way to WWE, and it could be whenever. This guy, I still consider him to be the best wrestler right now on the planet. He's been one of my favorite wrestlers for a long time. And to see this guy on his way to WWE and on the main roster, he's not going to NXT. Neither is Nakamura. They signed big contracts that will be put them on the main roster. So to see AJ Styles in WWE is unbelievable. Cannot believe it. And I just cannot wait to see all 4 guys in WWE, especially AJ Styles, who is definitely one of the biggest draws in all of wrestling.
Absolutely. This is unbelievable. I mean, I really cannot believe that we're sitting here right now talking about AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, and of course Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson, all going to WWE at the same time. I can't remember a time when I was this excited for guys to come over to WWE. In my opinion, this is the biggest talent acquisition that WWE has seen in years, if not ever. I mean, this is so big. This is not just one big superstar. These are 4 of arguably the best talent out there right now from New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you guys haven't seen Nakamura wrestle or any of them, I mean, you're in for a real treat when he comes over to WWE. I cannot wait for these guys to come. And like you just said, we were just talking about AJ Styles potentially coming to WWE. on the last show, you proposed the question: will we see AJ Styles in the WWE ring in 2016? And we both said we will never see him in the WWE ring ever. He will never come over to WWE ever. And here we are 5 days later talking about him potentially signing a WWE contract. Rumors come out on Monday night about these signings, and you know, AJ Styles has always been that type of thing where it's like, I have to really see it to believe it, because I have a tough time believing AJ Styles is actually coming over to WWE. So, take that for what you will. I thought Nakamura was a good chance of happening, because we've heard in the past that he, WWE was interested in him, and he was interested in coming over to WWE, and they have a good relationship there. So AJ Styles was pretty much the one that I was just like, I don't know about this. We'll see, though, even though Meltzer seems to be right on most of his predictions. But, you can never be so sure. Anything can happen in wrestling. And then the next day, the next morning, early Tuesday morning, New Japan Pro Wrestling had a show called New Year's Dash, and they ran an angle with the Bullet Club that was huge, and it was pretty much the Bullet Club turning on AJ Styles. It was Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Cody Hall, and of course Karl Anderson and Doc Gallows, all turning on AJ. Bucks super kicking him, Kenny Omega doing his finisher to him, and then later on giving him a Styles clash, and pretty much going on the microphone and saying AJ Styles is fired. He gets up, he bows to the crowd. I mean, it seemed like it was his send-off in New Japan already. It seems like he's done with over there. I just can't believe how quickly these things are happening. So that pretty much all but confirms that AJ Styles is on his way over to WWE, and it's going to be amazing when he debuts. I cannot wait to see the crowd reaction. I was talking to Brian off air. I really think that they have to do it in the right place, because, most people do know who AJ Styles is, but you got to be careful, because some people might not be familiar with him, of course, and not everybody watches TNA or knows what goes on in the wrestling world other than WWE. So I can't wait for their arrival. They are major game changers for sure.
And the thing with AJ Styles, which makes it more interesting, is that two reasons. Number one, he can debut whenever. He's not under contract with any promotion. He doesn't have to finish up some stuff in New Japan Pro Wrestling like Nakamura does. And we got reports that Nakamura will be leaving the company, New Japan Pro Wrestling, at the end of January. He might take some time off after that, and then probably post-WrestleMania we're going to see Nakamura. I think Gallows and Anderson have some stuff to finish with New Japan Pro Wrestling before they make their debuts, which is going to be NXT, and I think that's the best spot for those two guys, is to go down to NXT and push over some of the younger talents down there, the tag teams like Dash and Dawson and Jordan and Gable. But Styles right now has no contract. Ring of Honor took him off their advertisement, so he's basically the only Ring of Honor. And like you said before, they sent a nice send-off for him when they kicked him out of the Bullet Club, and Kenny Omega proclaimed himself as the new leader for the Bullet Club. So AJ Styles can sign whenever he wants, whenever. And I think it's going to be pretty soon, because you want to make the money, and if the money's right there on the table, you're going to sign it. And I think his debut will happen, I think, at the Royal Rumble, because there's a lot of holes in the roster. They need to find some guys to come up and make an impact in the Royal Rumble. And I think it's the perfect place for him, because it's in Orlando, Florida. It is the hometown of TNA, and that's where he was for about 10-plus years, and a lot of people know who he is. He's a household name. If you don't know who he is, shame on you, because you're missing out on one of the most talented wrestlers on the planet. So I think debuting in the Royal Rumble, competing for the World Championship right away in Orlando, Florida, is the best spot to go. And another thing that makes it great to see Styles in the WWE is the dream matches, the possible dream matches that this guy can have with some of the talent on WWE. Guys like Seth Rollins versus Styles would be epic, versus Kevin Owens, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose. And once guys like Finn Balor come up on the main roster and Apollo Crews comes up on the main roster, the dream matches, and even doing some stuff with Nakamura still, the possible dream matches out there for Styles is off the charts, and it makes it so fun to see what's going to happen. I'm looking forward to see what his first angle is going to be. A lot of people think he's going to be fighting for a mid-card belt like the United States Championship against Del Rio, or he goes toe-to-toe with Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship, which will be a very good start for Styles, because I think WWE is going to push him slowly. They're not going to put him right in the conversation for the world title with guys like Reigns and Seth Rollins and Sheamus. I think they're going to start him off slow. Maybe by next year's WrestleMania, he'll be in the hunt for a world championship, which is okay with me, because I think Styles could be with this company for a good 3 to 4 years. I think that's how much he signed for. I mean, he's not going to be around forever, because the guy's been contemplating retirement, and he is hitting his 40s. So But it's awesome to see AJ Styles. I'm looking forward to see what he's going to do. Same with Nakamura, what he's going to do in the company. Hopefully, him versus Daniel Bryan does happen because that's been a dream match talked about for a long time. Only thing that has to happen now is that Bryan can get cleared by the WWE doctors, which has not happened yet, which is kind of ridiculous because I definitely think Daniel Bryan's ready to get back in the ring. He's been out for a long time. I think he's ready to go. And you see what Anderson and Doc Gallows have done together as a tag team in New Japan Pro Wrestling, what they're going to mean to NXT and younger tag teams like Dash Dawson, Jordan Gable, and heck, even Enzo and Cass. They're going to be role models for these guys, and they're going to do some good things with NXT that just continues to grow. So this is a huge day for WWE on Monday. A great start to the year in 2016 because they need a big 2016. I thought 2015 was a very disappointing year for WWE. The viewership went down a big time on Monday Night Raw. They lost a lot of talent to injury. They need a big 2016. And what a way to start by signing 4 major names: AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, as well as a tag team of Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson. And there'll definitely be more coming. I think there's going to be more coming to WWE. Triple H is not done yet. It's going to be a fun year in 2016. What a way to start for WWE.
Absolutely, and like you said, the whole question now is when do they debut, and when they do, what does WWE do with them? How are they used in WWE on the main roster if that's the case? I think it's very interesting that other reports are that Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles are going to skip NXT. I'd like to see a short run in NXT for both of those guys, but you know what? I'm cool with them just going right to the main roster. They are older, so you don't know how much, how many years they're going to be in WWE, so you might as well just start them off right on the main roster, get them right in the mix on Raw and SmackDown, involved with guys like John Cena, like, Kevin Owens, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns. I think that'll be great. Like you said, the amount of dream matches, that AJ Styles can compete in is endless. I mean, the list goes on and on. Same with Shinsuke Nakamura. You just mentioned Daniel Bryan. He has always wanted to wrestle him. You see it in interviews all years, like past years. He said he wants to fight Shinsuke Nakamura, and now he finally has his chance if WWE ever decides to clear him. Poor guy's still on the sidelines, but WWE's afraid to clear him, but we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe now they will, but I just think this is huge. I think definitely AJ Styles, will see him first. It seems like he's done with New Japan already. Like you said, Nakamura has to still drop his Intercontinental Championship over in Japan, so I expect him to do that soon. Maybe we'll see Nakamura post-WrestleMania. I don't know if they're going to really overload us with all 4 of the debuts before WrestleMania, so we might see him after that. And then maybe Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson. I'm thinking maybe the NXT TakeOver event in Dallas on WrestleMania weekend. I think that'll be the perfect time because I do think that those 2 should at least go to NXT to help out those young, talented tag teams down there, and I think they could really make an impact because both of those guys have a ton of experience, so it would be good, for the young guys to learn from 2 veterans like that. So, I think that's how we see it right now. I think AJ Styles, he could appear in the Royal Rumble. I think it's perfect. Like you said, Orlando, Florida, it's TNA country. A lot of people go to the Royal Rumble year round. Everybody travels to go there, especially now since it's in Orlando. It's a prime spot for a vacation spot for people. So I think they're going to see a lot of hardcore wrestling fans down there who know who AJ Styles is. So definitely expect him to make an impact. If he debuts there, it'll be great. If not, I expect him to be here before WrestleMania. I really do. I think WWE needs a guy like him. They need some star power going into WrestleMania, and I think he'd be perfect. I'm not really sure who he's going to verse, but like you said, the amount of opponents are endless. He can have a dream match with anybody, so definitely be interesting to see. And like you said, what a way to start off 2016 for WWE.